Morning, Newport. I'm excited to officially announce we're back, baby. A lot has been happening in our city, and we're going to talk about it all, but today we will be addressing the recent Black Lives Matter protests happening right here in our own backyard. Or should I say, Back Bay.
Everyone says it's always the next generation. We are the next generation.
Absolutely perfect protest weather. And as someone who grew up playing in the Back Bay, I can truly say I never expected to see thousands marching in unity and chanting Black Lives Matter through our local estuary. In fact, right next to where I got a ticket for smoking weed in 2010. Thousands showed up to show support for the BLM cause with a mix of local Newporters and folks from other OC cities attending. They stood on street corners holding signs and getting non-stop support in the form of honks from locals driving by. Many marched along PCH, staying on the sidewalk and waiting for green lights to cross. In a pretty incredible moment, one crowd stopped traffic and lay down in the middle of the street on Irvine Avenue for 8 minutes, 46 seconds. That's the amount of time Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin knelt on George Floyd's neck, killing him. With police guarding the street, the crowd of thousands turned around, took over Irvine Avenue, and marched onto the Back Bay Trail. For the most part, the protest was peaceful, with protesters exercising their First Amendment rights and police not escalating the situation. However, there were a few conflicts. But this outburst was quickly solved with a crowd chant.
We want peace! 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 We want peace!
And then there was this guy.
Trying to fight this guy here. We got him pulling out a gun. He's got a gun. He's got a gun.
Turns out he's a local real estate agent for Arbor Realty. Or maybe now he was with Arbor Realty. They have completely removed him from their website. And all I want to know is why he was walking around strapped up at a peaceful protest. Let's not make walking around the peninsula with our guns the new norm here in Newport, okay? This is Newport Beach, not Texas.
This is peaceful. It's not. This is f***ing war. And I really wish my fellow citizens in Newport Beach and Costa Mesa would band together, get our weapons, and kick these out of our city. This is not right. Our police, our mayor need to stand up and just arrest and shoot all these mother.
Dude, not chill. The most disturbing incident was caused by a local 58-year-old man who ran his car, a Mini Cooper, into a group of protesters on the street.
Holy
Oh my God, that guy just...
Officers apprehended the 58-year-old man and he was charged with assault with a deadly weapon. Luckily, very luckily, no one was killed. But this incident of a white male plowing his car into a group of predominantly white protesters showing support for Black Lives Matter shines a light at the often hushed but ever-present racism in this town. If you're so angered by a group of protesters in the street that you feel the need to run them over, you have a problem. And in this case, it's a racist problem, which is why it is vital that we all keep addressing our fellow neighbors and our community because, as we see here, even showing support for the black community makes you a target, and it shouldn't. It's important to note this older white male was the only arrest at the Newport Beach protests. Personally, I rolled up to the protest with my camera out, ready to capture the police brutality that we've been seeing at protests across the nation. But thankfully, it wasn't there. Still, it does seem on topic to show you this.
A crowd of people tried to kill protesters. His car's f***ed up, and he's sitting there smoking a cigarette and not in cuffs. In Newport Beach, just telling his side of the story as if he shouldn't be in f***ing jail right now. Finally, get him in cuffs. It's an attempted murderer. Oh, we were right there. 100% attempted murder.
We'd like to think that a black man would get the same treatment by our police, but we don't know. And around the nation, we know that's not the case, and that's the problem. So for now, we'd like to say thank you to our local police who allowed thousands of people to peacefully protest and who did not show up in riot gear looking for a fight, despite Newport Beach having a very pro-law and order mayor and a police chief who was quoted on the day of the protest as saying, quote, "Appropriate action will be taken swiftly when necessary to maintain order." It's a good time to remind you that the police work for us, and that's why we pay them, to keep us safe. Now, while I did take a moment to commend the police for protecting our recent protests, I do find their recent font use troubling. While the department had the riot response plan dialed in, it seems that whoever was running the typography department was having a bit of a midlife crisis. Right here, we have 3 different Newport Beach Police Department informative protest graphics, and each one is using a different font. Not only that, but according to our sources, 2 of the fonts had never actually been used in the history of law enforcement agency graphics. Right here, you have a groovy 70s game show typeface, and then later that same day, you have the type of script typically seen adorning the sign of a gentleman's club. Not that I would know, those were banned in Newport quite a long time ago, for better or worse. And now, it's time to talk about how we can continue this momentum to enact the change we wish to see. Here's Good Morning Newport Director Riley Hayes explaining a political strategy recommended by former President Barack Obama himself. In short, get involved in local politics.
Thank you, Alex. Let's make this quick and simple. The first thing we all need to recognize is that police agencies are controlled by city government. In most cities, the mayor or the city manager is in charge of hiring the police chief, and city council is in charge of approving what percentage of the city budget goes to the police department. If you want to hold your police accountable to anti-racist policies, you need to elect city officials who hold and honor those same values. By paying attention to your city politics and reinforcing your beliefs with your vote, we can transform institutional racism in each of our cities. Thank you, Alex. Back to you.
Thank you, Riley. I know Newport's not an Obama town, but that really is good advice. And let me add, if you want to stay informed with city politics here in Newport, what better way than to follow us at Good Morning Newport. That's at Good Morning Newport on Instagram. Send this post to your friends and family so that we can all be aware of how to make this change in our city. While it is imperative that we stand with others nationally in the struggle against racism, it's even more important to be actively anti-racist in our own community. Election season is coming up, and we are at what feels like one of the most important moments in our country's history. So Riley, myself, and the team here in Good Morning Newport are going to do what we can to keep you informed and empowered at the local level as we march onward into the unknown. Until next time, hold on. Guess the tip line still works. Hello, Good Morning Newport. Okay, so you're telling me the only difference between Newport Beach and Huntington Beach is that Newport hides their racism better? Oh, I'm sorry, come again? Oh, only slightly better. Okay, we'll get on that. We'll try to work to see if, confirm if that's true. Thank you very much. Anyway, until next time, this is Alex Crawford saying, from the Back Bay to the Wedge, from Newport Coast to the River Jetties, Good Morning Newport.